So what are we talking about?
Okay, so you tell me, what do you want to share? What are the current challenges CIOs face?
Okay, just random.
Current challenges से बताइए सर, फिर opportunities और strategies तो हम पूछ ही लेंगे.
So, from my vantage point, the main challenges that I find is with one thing on skill set, second one is on selecting the right technology, and the third thing is there's a lot of noise on technology. It sends the wrong signals in terms of, AI is here and we can now sit down and put your feet up and have some tea, but that is not the case because AI needs to be managed and brought in. The human part of it the homework that you need to do, that hasn't gone away, but the noise is much more now, and and there's also a bit more of a segregation needed because every partner, vendor, solution provider in their first pitch says they have the same thing and then you need to go and really dissect and see who is capable of what, to what level, what fits you. So that is becoming more and more challenging because you have more options now. The second one is the blind trust in some of them and the unknown sources of danger that may come with respect to an increasing threat landscape, because you're now relying on somebody. Okay, you're taking care of that function which used to be in-house now. So it's not just a part of infrastructure as a service or software as a service. So many things are coming in as microservices as a service, not microservices, but it's almost in that sense. In which case you have to be more careful about where the connectivity is, where the data is flowing. I have a unique challenge because I don't have to. It's not just my data. Sometimes I also have data which is given to me by customers. I have to protect that as well. Now that, if it's going to go through a flow which I don't have control over, it is going to be quite a wrong thing in terms of my commitment to that customer, plus the practices that I have is shown to be, inadequate. So there's a need to constantly stay abreast. I was speaking to someone and I was saying that last year I was in this sort of a posture. I think right now my posture is changing, and I know that in 9 months my posture will be looking different. But what about all the elements that is today protecting me today? How will they adapt to the new posture? So these are some of the challenges, and one of the things that we constantly try to do is rely on a lot of external services now, because we can't keep building teams for all of this. And that is one place where, in one sense, okay, maybe it's not going to be a problem because managed services is a good way to go. In another case, you are actually offloading it and you don't have control on that, and how are they doing it? There's a risk. So risks are increasing, threats are increasing, complexity is increasing.
And the budget remains the same.
And the budget.
That again brings the pressure on you.
Yeah. And you need to show value, right? You need to say the unit cost of IT, I'm able to bring it down. And that is never happening.
Okay, so correct me if I'm wrong. The need to be scalable, or the need for that you were scalable was earlier at a much lower rate or level, and today, I mean, you cannot bring in any technology or any solution or any transformation in your setup until and unless you see that down the line 6 months I might be needing scalability, I might be needing some new things getting into, and I have to be, I cannot just have a box solution. I need to have a solution which keeps me moving. It does not restrict me, if I am putting it correctly.
So the way I would say, on the scalability side, as your growing, and which is what every business is here for. You need to grow, and you grow in many ways. You can grow where you are, or you're growing geographically, or you're growing in different services, which could be almost virtual, and you're still spreading out. So to support this, the kind of solutions needed is not that you add more CPUs and RAM and storage. That's the basic elements of compute. You're now having to think about it in many different ways. For my context, we would be having, say, the simpler one would be obviously setting up a new facility, a new manufacturing facility, a new offshore facility, a new sales office. These are things where this is happening in a fairly organic way. But when it comes to the parts where my solution building itself is going to have 3-4 entities coming together, and then I'm building it together. It's almost like when Airbus or Boeing is building an aircraft, the parts are coming from 1,500 people, and they're all doing, somebody sends a part, somebody put something together, and the whole plane is only put together in Seattle. But that's not where everything is made. It's all made and built and coming together. So then it becomes, the term that we are looking at is, and this is exactly where I would say the supply chain. Now, the supply chain for solutions for your business, supply chain for software, hardware, and supply chain for us has a completely different meaning, because for us, supply chain is the heart of our business. If our supply chain is broken, we cannot produce. We cannot have any output coming out of our factories. So that part is where the impact of many of the things that we see today. So the volatility that we see in the geopolitical space is actually impacting logistics and supply chain, and all of that, pricing, taxes, tariffs. So then we have a different challenge altogether. But I would just simplify it and say, what you're talking about is how does this affect my supply chain, so that I can ensure that my promised set of deliveries and production can be maintained and can grow. So that is a place where you need to focus and find solutions and ensure it's in place. And it's not one solution. It's in flux, and you need to stay agile.
Okay. With the coming of COVID, hybrid work culture also came. Nobody was prepared, but still, our horizons. I mean, we started working beyond the office parameters. So, has it brought in new challenges for the CTOs and the CIOs?
I think COVID part, initially it was a bit of a shocker, but the thing is, my kind of an industry where largely if I'm in manufacturing, 2-3 things have happened. One, we realized we cannot work from home.
Okay.
We have to come to the office. And luckily enough, aerospace, defense, healthcare, these are the kind of industries we serve. So getting permissions to come to the office was not a challenge. But we also found out that there are things that that we need to start thinking about. Not hybrid work, because you don't want a factory operation to be done remotely. You can do factory management remotely. You can look at analytics from a remote location. But otherwise, your factory itself is quite old. The machinery needs to run. It needs to have operators. It needs to have many things that needs to come together. It needs to have daily shift runnings. That has not changed too much. But now there's a focus to say, how can we run this line, which used to need, say, 50 people. We've actually got a line that runs with 50 people, and we've got the modern line which runs with less than 5. So you can see where this is going. So I don't want to make any predictions, and I won't say that we'll have autonomous factories. That's all nice to say, but we have figured out that certain things that are done does not need to have people there. I mean, we can actually automate. So the focus on automation in the manufacturing side has now increased. For the divisions that we have on software and all, we found out that we don't even need to have offices. They can work remotely. Only thing is the long-term impact of that is still is something which I'm suspicious about, because how do you really evaluate performance? Is it based on this? How do you really evaluate and say that this person is a leader for the other people going forward? How do you promote someone? And the whole question of moonlighting and whatnot, and do you even need to care about moonlighting as long as your work is getting done? and all of that has come. So that space is a little interesting, and there, while we can have less reliance on physical office setups, work management becomes a whole different challenge for managers. So work managers and product managers, those kind of people, they need to be able to do this first with some gut feel, second with intuition, gut feel, expertise, tools, information, data, and then you still need to have some mechanism to keep increasing the competence of people. So on what basis? Right? You need to say, well, this guys need this training, this is what we need to try and achieve. So that part is in my view, is getting done, but it needs a little bit more. And I think I'm not all in favor of work from home, primarily because I hate work coming into my home.
Okay.
When I'm home, I want to be home. If it's home, it's home time. If you can't really separate these two, then we are getting into a different sort of world altogether. So that is another one. That's probably a personal feeling to this. There are advantages, but having said that, now we have come to a point where if someone says, I need to work from home tomorrow, and we say it's fine, we don't really question it. So we are now introduced it to such a level that if somebody wants to work from home once a week, twice a week, nobody's going to raise any eyebrows. So that has become a new culture, saying that, okay, it is acceptable. Previously, it would be like, no.
What is this?
What is this?
Now that we have online classes also.
Yeah.
So kids are studying
Which was the worst thing that ever happened to education.
Right. Okay, I'll just make one point from your answer. Very interesting point, because we keep hearing a lot of hues and cries being made around that automation actually replaces manual interference. So does that mean people getting laid off, which these days Intel is doing, Microsoft is doing? So does it really mean that, or does it mean that, okay, this particular thing is getting little shrink, but we have other opportunities getting open?
I think everybody deals with it, looks at it differently. The kind of data that is going to be coming from different companies is different. Let me not comment on others. Some people will have shareholders driving certain things. You will want to show numbers and whatever. And those are all gimmicks, and that will keep on happening. Irrespective of COVID or no COVID, work from home or not, this was always happening. So there would always be layoffs. Right now, you're just attributing it to automation. Automation is not the biggest threat to jobs, in my opinion. We've always had technological innovations coming in. What we have found in our place is, when we are starting a new facility, we are hiring for new facility, whereas our current facility is still there. The people working there are still there. So nobody has lost a job. We've actually hired more. We've expanded. If you're shrinking, that's a different thing, because you have no business. If you're going down, if your graph is going down, then what do? Get business. If you have business, then I don't see anybody having to do the people laying off part. It is more around the refreshes and where you redeploy, and that's what we have seen. Because I think now, when I joined to now, maybe we probably would have added about 30-40% more sites and facilities and factories. We've never laid off anyone. We've continuously grown at double-digit figures, and we still continue to hire. So I think, touch wood, the business needs to do well, and I don't think there's any reason for jobs to be replaced. But there is a need for people who are currently, I would say, the older legacy or somewhat older folks are protected because we have that environment still there. But if that environment is going to drastically change, you're going to need a different set of people. For example, the new areas at new Industry 4.0 enabled factories, you need a different sort of people. You can't put them there. It's not easy. So there is an impact, but it is not something that says, you go everywhere and you start changing stuff. Anything that's going to come up new will be built on new fundamentals, new laws, new rules, and new opportunities.